in the last half hour or so, Jordan Schultz is a reporter for NFL Insider. I thought briefly he was with Fox. It appears he's no longer with Fox. Jordan Schultz is, at least on his bio, maybe he is. He's a reporter that was with Bleacher Report, was with Fox, has contacts for sure. He's got 300,000 Twitter followers.
Mm-hmm.
Now he does follow 100,000 people. Sometimes I think the ratios are fairly telling when you look at people that follow a ton of people. But regardless, Jordan Schultz just reported. Sources. Commanders All-Pro wide receiver Terry McLaurin has made it clear to the team that he's frustrated with the lack of progress on a long-term deal. As I previously reported, McLaurin unexpectedly left voluntary workouts after initially attending, and it remains to be seen whether he'll report for mandatory minicamp. McLaurin is entering the final year of his contract. Talks have been minimal. Brian Mitchell, you played in the NFL 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know Terry McLaurin. You know Adam Peters, the two main people involved here. You know the business of football. What is your reaction to this report?
I think this is a speculation thing, or if anything, maybe an agent said something. I don't think Terry or Adam said anything. And agents' job are to get conversations started. I just don't see this being how Terry is. You know what I mean? He's been here this long, and all he's been was a class guy. When there's issues, he doesn't discuss it. And we've seen Adam and his crew work, and they don't discuss stuff publicly either. So I don't know.
I tend to agree with you. I think in contract stuff, teams and agents will use the media to advance their agenda. Terry wants a new deal. That's not a secret.
Yeah.
Adam Peters said in Florida, I was in the room when he said it at the owners' meetings, we want to make Terry McLaurin a commander for a long time. Ownership is willing to spend money. I think, honestly, and I recognize there are people that will read this and get upset or disappointed, whatever. I see this as just the business of football.
Yeah.
Football business.
And the thing of it, let's be real. A deal hadn't been done yet. We all can suspect that's frustration, probably on both sides. You know, one side because I'm not getting what I want, the other side because you're not taking what we're offering. But the ultimate thing is anybody can say, oh, they're having issues right now because nothing has been done yet. But the fact that they probably talked to someone directly, I can tell you one thing. Ain't nobody talked to Terry McLaurin directly.
I can tell you another thing. No chance this is coming from Adam Peters.
Yeah. So I don't buy that.
If you read all of it, sources, Commanders All-Pro wide receiver Terry McLaurin has made it clear to the team that he's frustrated with the lack of progress on a long-term deal. As I previously reported, McLaurin unexpectedly left voluntary workouts after initially attending, and it remains to be seen whether he'll report for mandatory minicamp. What I can look at that I think can be true, and a lot of this is semantics, like how you word it. Could you see Terry being frustrated that a deal isn't done yet?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yo, let's lock this up. Let's get this done. I want this out of my life.
Because he wants to be there with his crew.
I don't know about the unexpectedly left voluntary workouts.
No.
Did he necessarily call DQ and say, hey, man, I'm going to head out of town. I'm not going to stick around for when the media gets here? I don't know that he did that, but I think unexpectedly left implies that he stormed out of the building with a box of his belongings.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the case.
Or he was there going to the field and say, you know what, man, I'm not going to do this. No, he didn't do all that. But the one thing that I think, and this is one thing I'll tell you here, I don't question when this coaching staff says something. Okay? I've watched them enough and I listened to them enough to know that they don't BS you. Okay? They don't BS players. So when I hear Dan say, I've talked to the guys and I understand. I think he's talked to Terry. I think he's talked to Lattimore, and I think he's talked to Tunsil. And I think as a coach, he understands the position of probably all of them. Lattimore normally doesn't go. Tunsil normally doesn't go. Terry's in the situation, so he understands that as well. But I don't think either one of those guys are going to come out here and talk to him and I'm okay with it if he doesn't mean it. So when these coaches say stuff, I take exactly what they say. It's not my job. Yes, I'm in the media, and I think sometimes us in the media, we think we have the right to just do whatever and say whatever we want, but we want them to give them everything that we need. You know what I'm saying? And I think we can't question everything all the time just because that's what we think we're supposed to do. No, sometimes you got to learn people along the way. And if they are doing what they say, you have to go along with what they say instead of trying to speculate and take it where you want to take it.
Could Terry be frustrated about the deal? Yes. Does that mean this thing is at an impasse or a crossroads and it's going to go sideways? I don't believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just deal in the facts, like what we know, right? When Terry signed his last extension, do you know when that occurred?
The week before July 4th.
July 6th is when they actually inked it. They probably agreed to it.
Well, when they agreed to it, then they mentioned that. That was like the week before, like the 30th or something like that.
If we get to training camp,
that's a problem.
Late July, all right, let's raise the flags a little. But for me, with this right now, this is the business of football.
100,000%.
I want to let people weigh in. 800-636-1067. 800-636-1067. There's breaking news, a report from Jordan Schultz. Now, I would add, I haven't seen this from Schefter or Garofolo or Rappaport. Like, I haven't seen this from other people. I'm not saying that the report isn't necessarily true, but I think a lot of things can be lost in the sauce, like the wording of things. But there is a report from Jordan Schultz. Sources, Commanders All-Pro wide receiver Terry McLaurin has made it clear to the team that he's frustrated with the lack of progress on a long-term deal, and it's possible Terry doesn't come to mandatory minicamp next week. I think the time...
We can say everything's possible right now.
Right. What do we always hear? Deadlines drive deals?
I just tell you this, though, Jay. I have sat there, and I've watched it, and I've had my back and forth with Adam Schefter because when Mike Shanahan was here, he was too far up Mike's ass, and I didn't like it. So we had but I'll tell you one thing. When Adam Schefter, if he had wrote that, I'll take everything word for word because that man does not miss. I don't know Schultz right now. I know he's a new guy who's coming in trying to put stuff out there, and maybe, just maybe, this is one of his ways of doing it. But I am not to the point with him that I will take what he says and just go with it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Now, even Garofolo, he doesn't miss often either. So if those two guys say something, I could give them the Bible treatment. This guy right here, I'm giving him the Cliff Note treatment.